At this time, I'd like to call the City of Lafayette City Council meeting to order Monday, October the 25th, 2021, at 6 o'clock p.m. Once again, it's just good to see everyone here, and hope everyone had a blessed weekend and a joyous weekend. So at this time, we have Councilman Mangrum to do our invocation.
Father, we come today giving thanks to you, Father. Father, I want to thank you for the things that you're doing in our lives, Father. Father, just ask you if that would please be with us tonight as we invoke in this council meeting, Father, to help the city of Lafayette move forward, Father. Father, we just ask thee if that would please be with us, Father. Bless our families, Father. Bless the ones that are here, Father. Bless anyone that, all people who is in the need of your love, Father. Father, just ask you these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. This time we ask our clerk for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Mangrum.
Here.
Councilmember Hunter.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Ellis.
Here.
Councilmember Williams. Mayor Vine.
Here. Reading of the minutes, September 27th, 2021, from our regular city council meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for September 27th.
Second.
It's been properly motioned and second that we approve the reading of the minutes, September 27th, 2021, from our regular city council meeting. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Motion approved. Mr. Jimmy Jackson, recognition of 40 years of service with the city of Lafayette. Is Jimmy all right? Did anyone advise him to be here?
You gonna read it, man?
Huh?
You gonna read it?
Okay, it says,
Yeah.
oh, he's here. Good grief, come on, Jimmy.
Where do you want me to get?
Just, I'm gonna come down, okay?
All right.
Come down. It's a one-time report show for me, right?
That's right.
Anybody say it's like a call today?
Let me get out of camera.
Come on, ain't no bite. It says, presented to James Jimmy Jackson, City of Lafayette, strength woven in. It said, in appreciation of your 40 years of dedicated service, devotion, and commitment to the City of Lafayette, October the 25th, 2021. So,
Glad y'all give me the opportunity to stay here this long. Yep, just glad to be here this long. Been a long time coming.
Yeah. When I started, you was here, so
Yeah.
I'm sure it's more.
I've seen,
I think this is worthy enough for everybody to come around and take, business forward with Jimmy. 40 years here is a long time, so I think we owe him that much.
All right, everybody, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you, man.
all right. Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
Congrats, man.
Say they got time, didn't they? Nah, I'll think about it.
I'm in order to say about, there's also something else in store for Jimmy. Or not? So we'll leave it like that. Miss Carolyn Wheeler, Lafayette City Cemetery gazebo discussion. Miss, she just,
I can see where it was.
yes, ma'am.
Red light on.
I know most of you all here, and I think most of y'all know me. I have been volunteering at Lafayette Cemetery for 10 years, and we have made a lot of improvement. We have raised thousands and thousands of dollars during the 10 years and made a lot of accomplishments. I would like to thank George Green for helping me out when I was really, really needed some help. We've worked really well together, and hope we will for a while longer. The problem is we have gotten a grant before, and we were able to put a new flooring in the gazebo, and it was put down with Trex board, which should last longer than any of us probably, we hope so. But we've had it painted twice, we've landscaped around it, we've worked over the entire cemetery, and everything is in good shape now. But we realized, I guess it was about less than 2 years ago, that the foundation of the gazebo is totally giving way. All the posts, it's octagonal shape for those who do not know. And there are, what, 7 posts? 8 posts, octagonal, yeah. And they have rotted at the bottom, and I call it the foundation, like the fascia boards around the whole entire gazebo have rotted. A painter is the one that discovered this, and we do not have the money right now to do any more work to the gazebo. We've put a new roof on it, and the roof painted twice are the things that we have done for the gazebo. So we are asking for your help. I called 10 contractors / carpenters. I was given their names from different people, some from George Green, some from other people. They weren't interested. They had a house going on, had no idea when they'd be able to even give us a quote. I had 10 excuses. Either they didn't answer the phone, didn't return my call. So finally, your city workers said, have you called Will Vines? And I said, no, I don't know Will Vines. So I called him. He came right over to the cemetery to see what the problem was. He and I met many, many times to see what we were going to have to do to repair the gazebo. He worked up a quote, and I understand he's turned it into the city. This has been going on for months and months and months. What I'm hearing now is that, and I may be saying things that are not true, somebody can correct me, that we can't go on with this, that you can't go on with this because we have to have more quotes. Where are we going to get quotes if I have called 10 people to give me some help? But what's going to happen, those posts are going to give way. Then you've got the roof coming down. I mean, it'll just be the end of the gazebo. This gazebo was built in 1903. Of course, it has had many changes, many repairs, completely redone before. But it's a very historical gazebo. It really enhances the cemetery, and we don't want to lose it. So I'm just here to ask, could we hurry and get something done to the gazebo before it's too late? Can anybody give me any information on what you've discussed or where we are with that?
As far as I know, this is the first of anything that I've heard anything about, this proposal or anything at the cemetery, so,
Same here, I never heard, it's my first time hearing about it too, so.
Well, I think that Superintendent Green, from my understanding, is already working on that issue.
He's been working.
That he's still working on it, it's just that he has a priority list right now. He was taking care of the high priority things, but it was he have made contact with Mr. Van, from my understanding, correct me if I'm right. But,
Now, Mr. Green has reported to me.
and he stated that, you know, he had some other things that he had to take care of first according to the priority list, but he was taking care of that situation right there. Am I correct, Superintendent Green? I'm working.
This was reported about the time that you all were working on the community house. And that was Mr. Green's big thing at that time, was to get the community house finished. And then that seemed to be it.
Well, if you don't mind, Superintendent Green, come to the podium. You're here. You can let her finish.
I'm finished.
Good evening, Madam Council. I'm open to any questions
Well,
that you was asking me.
I would basically ask you to explain, see that you hadn't forgot about doing what it was to the gazebo, but you were just taking care of some things on the priority list.
At the current time, we are still working on it. I received a list of parts to order from Ms. Wheeler, and I kind of put that on hold because we didn't have the one bid. As she stated, it's kind of hard to get someone to come out and do some bidding. So I did call some extra people on top of that, and we still hadn't had any.
I want to know, when was this brought before the mayor and council? This is my first time hearing about this gazebo or the need for repairs or whatever. This is my first time hearing about it. Y'all said it's been going on for months. I mean,
Well, the normal process is try to figure out what we would need before we come before mayor and council. If we've done
I think
had 2 or 3
that's
bids.
kind of, I think that's.
I mean, normally this, if we get an estimate on any building that we got, you know, we normally just go through our normal process. A contract or something been picked out or bids open, then we bring it to you, but
Wouldn't it make sense to inform the mayor and council first that there's a problem before y'all go looking to solve the problem? I mean, maybe it's something we could have done a long time ago. I mean, my first time hearing about it, I'm sure a lot of other council members too. There's too much of that, a few people talking and in the know. I think we all deserve a right, we all represent the city, and we all should be informed of what's going on. If there's a problem that needs to be addressed at mayor and council, need to come to the whole mayor and council.
George, let me say this, George actually, and we do this on a routine basis with whatever department head. It's city policy that council adopted years back. You're really supposed to have 3 quotes or anything over $100.
Right.
So they had 1 quote, George brought it to me, he was trying to get more quotes, so we didn't bring it before you guys because we didn't have the quotes. But from here on out, if that's what y'all want us to do, every time we have a project, even if we don't have enough quotes, we'll push it out to you so that y'all are aware of it. Just know it's gonna be a lot of information coming to
That's
you.
fine. I mean, I don't have a problem.
Okay,
with that,
I mean,
but I'm saying if there's a problem,
I'm fine, it's just
something
that's
that
never
we-
been expressed before.
we need to know about it. I want to know about it. I'm tired of hearing about stuff way after there's been a problem.
Well, you
Well,
guys
if the
just
mayor
doing
and
your
council
normal
agree to
procedure.
that, councilman, then I don't have an issue with it.
Y'all are doing your normal procedure.
But-
It's nothing changed about
Well,
what
Yeah,
y'all
it's never
doing.
changed,
Well-
you know, so if it's $105 or $200, I'll send it to y'all if that's what y'all want.
I don't care, I'm not talking about the money part of it. I'm
No,
just
no.
saying that there's a problem, there's something that needs to be fixed, something on city property or whatever, something
I'm
that's
talking
on
about the
city.
process. The process is anything over $100. So that's why I said it's $105, $110, $200. Even if we only have 1 quote, I won't even wait for the other quotes. I'll just start sending y'all the information if that's what y'all want.
No, I think we need to follow the policy that we've been doing in the past. You get the 3 quotes that it takes, turn it in, but there's no need to turn in 1 quote. I mean, nothing changed. Everything is basically the same.
I'm not, but you don't understand what I'm saying is, I understand about the quotes and all that, but if there's a problem, bring it, let us know about the problem, then what y'all gonna do as far as you're looking to fix the problem.
well, normally, Councilman, this would usually, when we would have a problem, I'd say in the cemetery, it's not a problem, it's just a project, I would say. It would come before the chairman, and he would have regular meetings, and that's when they would get informed, and then we would bring it to you at that time. But, you know, we hadn't had any meetings or any contact. But this was just a day-to-day operation that we normally do anyway. It's solving problems and trying to collect information, estimates and prices and bids, and then when we get down to a final number, then that's when we usually try to bring it to you. But we're not there yet. We still trying to find some people to do the work. And that's what we here explaining tonight, that it's a problem that we can't find available contractors to even bid on it, so we can bring it to you. I think that's what she's saying, and she's asking about how can the process be sped up.
Well, I think part of it, from what I just gathered from Ms. Will, is that, I mean, you know, she kind of thought that everybody already knew about the whole the situation, and we didn't know about the whole situation. So, you know, I don't have a problem with us having a hard time getting the bids in or anything like that. It's just that we're in the blind right now.
Well, all of us are in the blind, so they're saying
That's-
they're following procedure.
That's what I'm saying. We're just in the blind to what Ms. Wheeler just said.
Right.
So we really don't know I mean, the process is there. We just don't know about what's being done. And I don't think anybody has a big problem as to say, we're not gonna do anything, but we're not just gonna jump right now because we don't know what's going on.
Well, as the city manager stated, we're not doing anything any different from the way that it has been done in the past. Am I correct?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all I was saying was that if you guys want to be notified, then just, I mean, if you tell us that, then we can do it, but whether it's the gazebo or project that Richard has going on, or Ann has going on, or anything that's going on, we kind of go through our normal thing, and we don't kind of let everyone know every purchase that has to be made,
Right.
or everything that has to be fixed.
I say follow the procedure you've been following in the past. I ain't got no problem.
I agree with that too. But when there's a problem, and in this case there is a problem, you know, one of the things, just letting more people know about it, you might find somebody else that could bid on it. You know? This is just spreading the word.
Thank you, sir.
I think we'll get back with you after we go through the process.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go into the department head monthly report, we have with us tonight our superintendent of Board of Education of Chambers County, Mr. Chambers. He's here to come speak to us tonight. Mr. Chambers.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity. I think I owe everyone an apology. I think I was on the agenda to speak in August and did not know, and so I apologize for that miscommunication and that misunderstanding. I owe all of you an apology for that, but I also want to thank you and thank the mayor and the council for allowing me this opportunity, Mr. Davidson, to come and speak with you tonight and to talk to you about another situation that we're trying to work through and that the Board of Education is trying to work through, which deals with a vocational drive, which is the driveway that comes into the Board of Education. I'm not sure how many of you have driven on that road lately, but that road is in dire need of repair. And it has been for a long time. And so when I took office in January, we started trying to look for opportunities and ways to see how we could try to get that road fixed, and started reaching out to people and running through some of the same situations that we just heard from, about trying to find quotes from people and trying to get quotes about how much it would cost and how long it would take to get the road fixed, which led us to another road, which led us to another road, and led me to Mr. Tucker, and found out that the road was actually not owned by the Board of Education. The road is actually owned by the Tolbert family, and it's actually a right-of-way that comes into the Board of Education and actually goes back past where our two buildings are. And then there's another right-of-way that the school, that the Board of Education actually gives to the city, that there's a cemetery behind one of our buildings, and that there's a right-of-way that we give the city access to in case the city needs that access. So we started that process and started trying to look, and Mr. Tucker had mentioned to us that the Tolbert family was willing to deed the property over and gift the property to the Board of Education. So we started that process and then found out that there had been a survey done on the property. However, the survey was not complete. There were some pins missing, and they could not get a proper description of the property for the Board of Education to give to Mr. Tolbert for him to then deed us the property. So we called the surveyor back in. The surveyor that did the initial survey is no longer in business, and so we called another surveyor in to try and finish the survey. And so he comes in, and we have to pay for another survey to take place, and we get that working. And meantime, I met with Mr. Tucker. I also met with Mayor Vines and Mr. Davidson. We met last spring to discuss the road and a few other properties and some things about a couple of other situations with some school buildings and some things going on. And we discussed the road, and we're waiting on the surveyor to finish. Finally, we kept working with trying to find entities or someone to give us a quote on the road and how much it would cost. The county commission was discussing with the chairman of the county commission about the special, what I call the special tax, the online taxes, and we were discussing those issues and those taxes from the county commission and trying to find some money to pave the road. And the county commission found some money to help us pave the road. And so they voted a resolution from the developmental authority to help us pave the road because of all of the traffic that's coming into the road to the school from the Career Tech. We've got a lot of industry coming in to go into the Inspire Academy at the Career Tech. And so we were doing a lot of work on some of our buildings there, and the county commission, because of their partnership with a lot of the industries, found some money to help us try to pave the road. So with all of that being said, we then continued to work with Mr. Tucker and try to work, and we met with the county commission at the commission office one day, and up in the top floor of the county commission office. And it was in the resolution that the Board of Education would need some help maintaining the road later on, about 15 to 20 years down the road. So when the county commission made the resolution, they made the resolution wanting public access for the city, and it being a city street, and some help with the city to maintain the road later on. There won't be any upkeep or obligation of the city at this time. No obligation of the city to help pave the road, and the county commission is going to do so and do it, and the roads will be paved with proper levels, proper pavement for our buses to ride on those roads, and we've been assured that the road will maintain itself and be really good for at least 15 years with probably no upkeep at all needed. And so with that resolution being passed, we are now in the process the survey has been completed and survey is finished finally, and we are in the position now to move on to the next step, which Mr. Tucker will be dealing with the Tolbert family to deed the property over to the Board of Education. And then what I would like to ask for the city to do is for then myself to deed the roadway and that right of way over to the city, and it become a city street and public access. Did y'all have any questions for me? Or?
Yeah, my feelings about that is, we have no problem. I don't have any problem helping our local schools or whatever, need to be done, but we have enough roads in our district that we need to focus on right now besides adopting another road. Every councilman up here has a road that's in real bad shape that need to be paved. And I don't think we need to neglect our citizens to adopt another road that we're trying to get money right now to be able to afford to fix their roads.
Sure, I understand, and I agree. I agree 100%. I drive on all of them all the time. If I'm not asking for the city to maintain and take the road and fix the road. We're going to fix the road. The road won't need anything from the city or any upkeep from the city for years to come. There won't be anything, no obligation of the city to cut, no obligation of the city to maintain any of the cutting or the side of the road, any of those. The school system will maintain all of those things. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Tucker, the only thing that we'll be asking for the city to do, it would just be a public access road, and the city would own that road and would upkeep that road later, once, if there's any upkeep needed to the road later, because it's going to completely be resurfaced.
You're talking about 15 years from now?
Yeah, it's going to be 15 years. It's going to be a long time.
I think you need to talk to the next administration before we make that decision.
Well, we don't even know who that's going to be.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, that's something 15 years later from now, hey, that's a long time. So I think that, this administration right here, I don't think we need to make any rules on that as of right now. That's my opinion. I don't know how the rest of the other council members feel, but as I stated earlier, we got enough responsibility for us taking on that right now. That's my opinion.
Why did the county not take responsibility for? Did you ask the county to take responsibility?
Yes, because it's in the city.
I understand that. We've got some,
That's what I was told when I asked them.
but it's a county school.
Right.
That's correct. But it's in the city of Lafayette.
I understand.
But it don't belong to the city. It belongs to private property owners right now.
It does.
Yeah, it belongs to private property owners right now, but there is an easement over it that allows that current access.
That's through the board, right? That's through
All
the
right,
county.
and the county's attorney has ruled that the county can't spend money on an easement. The county wants an actual dedication of the street. The resolution, as I understand it, from Mr. Superintendent Chamberlain, is that the county has dedicated the money to repave the road up to where it turns left the first time up there. And the county, as a condition of funding that, has asked that the city receive a dedication of that road after it's been paved, or right or before it's been paved, or somewhere in the, either way. That doesn't matter, they just wanted the city to accept a dedication of that road. Ordinarily, a dedication of a road in the city comes on whenever any city street meets specs. Say a subdivision developer was come in, he builds a subdivision. Whenever that subdivision plat is presented, that road, as part of that subdivision, is automatically dedicated to the city. Now, that's why the city has certain things in place to make sure the roads are built to their specifications. So, at this point, I don't know that the commission, this body is quite ready to determine whether or not it will accept a dedication of the road. I think I'll need to go back and look over, make sure that we don't have any specific ordinances concerning that. But it is not an abnormal process. It's a pretty ordinary process whenever you have a subdivision. This is a little bit out of the ordinary because there's already a road there. It's not truly a subdivision, it's all Board of Education property.
Yeah, and I think what happened was because the road was, the right-of-way of the road was owned by a private individual, we had purchased and bought where the Board of Education building is and then where the Inspire Academy is. We owned those two pieces of property. However, the road coming up, we did not. So if you looked on the plat and you look, there's a strip that the Tolbert family still owns. The county nor the city nor anyone, even the Board of Education, I could not and was not supposed to legally pave the road because I didn't own it. And the county couldn't do it because the county didn't own it. And because they can't pave a road with county money, that's a private individual and private owned. That would be like paving one of your driveways. They could not do that. However, it being a school access and a public access, if we owned it, so that's where we went through the process of the surveying and then trying to obtain it ourselves. However, one of the conditions of the county, of the commission, was the dedication, like Mr. Tucker was saying, of the road to the city as a public access.
So if the Board of Education and the Inspire Academy is not there in 15 years, let's just say the school system moves to the back.
It can't. The school system has to maintain in the county seat. The Board of Education has to maintain in Lafayette.
The Board of Education.
Yes, the Board of Education has to maintain in the county seat.
So, but you can move somewhere else, in another spot.
Well, I guess like Councilman said, you may have to talk to another administration at that point in time whether that happens, because that's going to be way beyond my time. I don't foresee the Board of Education moving with the new board building that has been built, and we're currently spending close to about $400,000 at Inspire Academy with our engineering department to move our engineering department up, and we're spending money there. So I don't foresee the Board of Education moving to another location. We own too much land in that area.
You know, I think overall it's for the citizen as far as the caring of our school system and wanting people to go to a nice facility. You know, you're going to try to travel to the Board of Education where at beginning of school every year, you know, you got numerous of people coming here requiring and looking for jobs. And, you know, the road condition over there today is what they had to travel on for the last few years. And I think, you know, for my concern and caring about everything is that, you know, for us, we should all want better for Lafayette, and we should want our school system to have a nice access to it. Of course, we didn't come in and make it to where that situation is like it is today, but we can help improve that situation only by approving, you know, and accepting the road. That's my stand as far as, you know, anything is concerned. I go over there quite often, and it's not a friendly road to travel on to try to get to a place that represents the school system.
But, Councilman Murphy, with all due respect, you work for the school system, so it's a conflict of interest for you. I mean,
Well, you know, I'm a citizen though. I'm a citizen, so,
you're a citizen.
you know.
You work for the school system.
Well, I mean, you know, as far as me saying what I said, you know, I care enough about Lafayette and Chambers County school system that it should look better as far as trying to get in there, regardless of who I work for.
Exactly.
You know.
But what I'm saying is, technically, it would be a conflict of interest for you.
Well, you know, that's my stand though.
I respect that, but I'm just taking off the back.
I noticed you said that it's still some thing that you're gonna have to work on. Am I correct?
Yes. Before, you know, any work takes place or any action is taken to accept this dedication, I need to look over the ordinances and the state statutes to make sure we're following everything correctly. And I have not yet done that because everything's sort of been in limbo. I did talk to Mr. Chandler this afternoon as far as finalizing some of the things with the toilets. There was, like I said, the issues of the survey were finally resolved. And they were, whether or not the Board of Education is willing to go forward. Now I've got to check with the toilets, and I'm assuming they're still on board because this triple land doesn't do them any good. So I'm sure they're going to want to donate it to this.
Well, I think what we should do, because we can be here for a little while on this discussion, we have a thing pending. Once Mac finishes what he, you know, need to do on behalf of the city, then we just come back and you know, and we'll, you know, because there's nothing that we was gonna vote on tonight anyway.
Sure.
And I think once Mac finishes what he needs to do, and then that'll give us, he can explain back to us what, you know, what his finding, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, I appreciate your time. This has not just come up. I think that they've been working on this, or been, my predecessor was working on this and trying to get this done for a long time. I think the road has been in pretty bad shape for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first draft, the draft of the deed that I had prepared, 2016. That's all.
Yes, so we've been working on this a while. If you have any other questions, I don't mind answering those. I don't mind coming back and answering those and get some other information for you. But I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
I want to say that, we appreciate the cooperation, the agreement we have. We got a good working relationship with the school board now to use facilities and all that, athletics and stuff like that. So it's something we could come back and have a work session once Mr. Turkey get everything needs done, and something we at least sit down and talk about it, because like I said, it's something that we need to talk about.
Sure, and like the mayor said, we could move on with this discussion, and that was one of the discussions that the mayor and I and Mr. Davison had in the spring, dealing with other facilities and other things that we're looking forward to with the city and different things of that nature. But we do appreciate the working relationship with you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Allen Tucker, Harmon Engineer, street paving update.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Just a little update real quick on the paving project. We are, contractors complete with all of the streets that Spire is, that we know for sure that Spire is complete on. Just to recap, those are, First Avenue Northwest at Long Street, that is done with the exception of the striping that goes on it and the little stretch there along Renfro's. Second Street Southeast is completely done. First Place Southeast is completely done, and Hospital Street is completely done except for a little striping, the center striping down the middle. And you'll do all that striping at the end at one time is what the plan's on that. So like I said, we're caught up with Spire. I don't know their status right now. I understand that they're waiting on the outlet permit so they can cross 431. So that's where we are. We got a couple of choices there. We could, I mean, the theory so far is we wait till they get through so they don't dig up a street after we get it paved. If you wanted to go ahead and pave those, we could pave them and accept the risk that they might dig up some of it. So that's where we are on that. We did go over the quantities, so you should be getting a pay request at the next council meeting. Should be in the neighborhood of $300,000. That'd be about a little over half the work completed so far.
Is there a time limit on when it's supposed to be finished with this project?
There was. There was.
So they probably owe us money then.
It was August the 31st, but we have told them to hold up and wait on Spire. So
The city of Lafayette told them to hold up.
yes. So that's been our desire, is to wait till not to pave it until Spire gets through with it.
Was that in the council meeting? That you all was told to hold up?
It's been brought up several times in the council meeting. I don't know about I don't have it, I don't have a copy of the
That's
minutes.
fine. I was just curious now.
Yes. The other subject on that was I sent out today a proposed change order. We discussed, I'll just go back up a second. In the original contract was to pave the stretch of the street that goes by the former McClendon building
runs from the fire station to 431. The discussions have been on the field and with some of us to pull that street out of the contract and pave the next section of it.
Who's had that discussion?
I think Lewis and George and myself and I don't know who else.
Why would you?
I think the thinking was that the council might not, since that's probably not gonna be the new city hall, that they might not want to pave that section there by the old McClendon building. Somebody did buy that building, they may
Okay.
make their own alterations and that kind of thing. And use that money instead to pave a couple of other streets. One being the section below it, and I was trying to think of a landmark, and I can't really think of it. Mr. Norris can help me out there.
Next to the Diva.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's the building, that's the hairdresser corner.
That street's not even traveled much. Why we wanna pave that street?
It's in,
It's not in bad condition.
yeah, it's in pretty bad condition.
So we can get that on the next round. I think we should stick with what the contract, what we already got in the contract, we just pull in and changing and all this stuff.
Well, I think if we come off of that street at the McClendon building, I mean, I think there's probably a worse street in there than that street that we're talking about doing there.
Another street that was mentioned was, the street between the old BB&T building and the Methodist church right there. That could be done for about the same money or maybe a little less.
Well,
It's in awful shape.
can we hold off and just, you know, let's talk about and look at these few streets that we keep throwing up right now, opposed to, you know, just making a actual order here to change something. Let's get back and look at the streets that we wanna consider doing. Because, I mean, I was just on that street over there by the Deagle's hair salon, and, you know, road pretty smooth to me. And the street over by the end of First Street across from 431 by BB&T Bank, I mean, you know, that's a main kind of road, but it ain't, I think we still got a couple of roads in worse shape than that one.
Avenue 8, I mean, going on from, First Street, east side, past east side, that other roads are probably higher priority than side streets.
Once again,
Change.
just like talking about, you know, dealing with the road at, the board, I mean, you know, look at Avenue 8 like he just said. I mean, we're coming into the city and look at what we got to ride on.
Superintendent, what about that road that cuts right behind, Farm and Merchant Bank, the Rio Bunker Road? I think the same council.
It's
Building district. That's one of the worst roads in the
It's
city.
The-
Is it in the plan or?
If I
have y'all
might-
considered that road?
Yeah, the one between the bank and the funeral home is on the plan.
It's on there. But
Waiting on fire.
But the other little street that runs along the little solar farm thing is not.
it
It
is.
is.
But when Ben Allen and some others talked about that the street up at the McClendon building could possibly be left out. Because when we were looking at doing the building, remodeling the building, it was possible there could be some road construction digging up under the road for the generator and all that kind of stuff. So once that didn't take place, we kind of looked at some other streets. But as far as the equivalence to the distance and the width of the same streets, those two streets he was bringing up is about the same distance, and maybe one of them might be a little bit wider. So if the First Avenue northeast, the one next to BB&T Bank, you're probably gonna have a little bit more traffic if our future plans still go. And that would possibly be one of the streets that probably need to be upgraded a little bit. Plus it has some potholes in it. So that would be a good street to do. The Court Drive, southeast is what he was trying to call it, the one that kind of goes straight on by Page Car. It's about 200 and something feet. That kind of connects with the paving that you already done. If you walk it and get out of your vehicle and walk it, you'll see some, utility cuts and things of that nature, where the street been breached in time, it's gonna cause some problems. So that would have been a good street. And those streets totaling up to about the same distance that Court Drive southwest equal to. So maybe you went up there and talking about too much money. And all the pavement would have been kind of connected. So you wouldn't have a street that didn't look like it didn't have any pavement that might be paved. Those were some of the surveys that I went out and looked, and I presented that to him. And so that's why he would bring it to your attention. So it had been some surveying done on it, it wasn't just that he mentioned. But I had been out and looked at it.
Let me ask you a question. This is to you and to Alan. Even if the city of Lafayette told Mr. Clark or Alan to stop, delay the project, were they on time? Were they ahead of schedule?
No.
So us telling them to stop didn't change anything?
I'd have to look at the timeline, but the contractor was behind, initially. And then he was ready to get started, and then we delayed him again. So, you know, the fault is shared there. And we're still in that, like, fire delay and all of that at this point. So yes, he was behind initially. But turned out that it worked in our favor because fire started being there for the very same street we were fixing to pave.
So are they charging us anything for being behind? Do they owe us any money for being behind?
Which all decided to try to pursue that.
You said the original contract expired August 30th.
Yes.
Probably be a good idea to do an amendment to it, just to make sure that we don't run afoul of any issues. It wouldn't have to be real long.
If y'all decide to pay some other extra streets, we could incorporate that in the same road at that time. Somebody asked me if we could wait and discuss it. Expire gets through, he starts back paving right now. The street by the old Clinton building is on the list, so he's contracted to pave that unless we change it before he gets to it.
Well, I think we can kind of hold him off as far as that particular street. So why don't, if it's okay that you and Mr. Green, you know, get together and you all bring us back a couple of streets that, you know, the council feel that it's, you know, really some streets that we need to get paved around here. And I mean, you know, I think we can have that by next council meeting.
Yeah, we can have that ready next council meeting, and I'll assume that y'all want to keep it about the same money as the original contract.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think nobody's interested in
Is that street right
spending
there,
more.
the barber shop in front of the Merchant Bank, is it on the list?
The barbershop where?
Lafayette Barber Shop in front of the Merchant Bank.
We are.
That's done behind,
We are
but
paving
beside
that.
Greg's barbershop?
Yeah,
Yeah, the one.
The one beside is done.
It's already done.
in front.
In front, no, that road was paved a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's a big hole.
That's where Spider gotta fix it back.
I know it's fire hole.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Are
Spider's
they
obligation.
gonna fix it back?
That's their obligation. yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I encourage the council to make sure and follow up that they do it correctly.
Okay.
I know George is in lots of-
They've done a good job on several of them that they put back already.
Most of them that I've seen have been done well, looks like.
Well, we just need to make sure we watch it.
Because that one's getting bad.
It is.
I noticed today it's probably about 8 or 10 inches deep in one spot, about 2 feet wide. I went and had to go around by this morning.
And the big thing on what Spire does is when they dig the hole out, is what they put in the bottom hole. What you put on the top doesn't matter. The important part is what you put in the hole. If it's not compacted right, if it's not gravel or something, it will sink. It may not be today, it may be next month, it may be next year, it'll sink.
There's 2 more on my way home too.
So that's what we want to watch. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're down to our department head, monthly report. except for, Richard, he had an emergency. Okay, Board of Officers, notice of claim, Joseph Sanders, Mac.
Yeah, this is a claim for damage to a wheels of a automobile. This particular incident took place in the Piggly Wiggly parking lot. The meters in that particular development are actually down by the sidewalks. Nothing's ever been done, so we still own the pipe to the meters. And apparently Richard installed 2 new meters, and he came in and he had to dig out the pipe apparently, and he made a pretty good sized repair. And then we had that huge rain, and apparently it wasn't sealed correctly, so it washed some of the fill out, and it collapsed, and it collapsed greatly. I've reviewed this claim, and I believe the only amount of the claim is for the estimate that's attached. That's all we've got. That estimate that is attached appears to be in line with what kind of damage would have been caused by the failure of the road. I believe the estimate is in the amount of $233.55. From what I've been provided from my investigation, I do believe that the circumstances that created the damage were caused by negligence of the city, and therefore the city should pay this claim.
Make a motion, we pay that claim.
Second.
At this time, it's been properly motion and second that we pay the claim, notice of claim to Joseph Sanders in the sad amount of $233.55. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, have the same right. Motion approved. Hearing of petitions, applications, complaints, appeals, and communication. Councilman Lane?
I don't have anything, Mayor.
Councilman Moore?
I don't have anything.
Councilman Thomas?
I don't have anything.
Councilman Ellis?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Councilman Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to come before you all today about the animal control position. I've been on this council a long time, and I've been complaining about dogs for a long time. If you notice in the newspaper, they just saved 12 pit bulls last week. And if we don't do something in the city, we're going to be in a whole lot of trouble with these animals now. I know the position is for part-time, but I think it needs to be a full-time position. There's a need for it, if nobody else, they would in my eyes. These dogs are awful, the owners are not being accountable, held accountable, and if somebody get mauled, I don't want it on my hand that I didn't continue to push the council about getting an animal control officer. I would like to see that we advertise it as a full-time position. If needed to, I would like to put that in the form of a motion. And that's it.
What do we advertise for already?
We haven't advertised. We've been talking about it.
It's advertised, but it don't say whether it's full-time or part-time.
I've seen it.
Part-time.
I think it's in part-time.
Advertise
Well, that's what I'm saying, exactly what have we advertised for?
It doesn't say in the paper, it just say animal control officer, it don't say full or part-time.
We just advertised for the position because it was never determined
Right.
whether it was full or part-time. You had some elected officials say full-time, some elected officials saying part-time. Nobody ever agreed, but we agreed to advertise, so I just put it in the paper without specifying because we didn't know.
Right.
How many
Really?
applications have you received on that position?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. Yes, sir, we have one, well, we actually have two applications. We have a very good applicant, one that is very interested in the job, but he was inquiring about full-time. The other one, he said he would take part-time, but he was a former part-time worker with the city of Lafayette. So, and I agree that position needs to be full-time because we have a lot of animal calls throughout the week, even on the weekends. Yeah. And we have made several arrests here lately in reference to animals being neglected and also animals being allowed to run at large. So we have made several arrests and those cases are coming up. So we just wanted to report that.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, thanks, Chief.
I think it's the motion on the floor. I would like to second that motion that has already been made as far as hiring the animal control officer full-time instead of part-time.
This time we have a motion, second motion on the floor to approve the animal control position as a full-time position. Any discussion on the motion?
What's the salary?
We can't start it in way, that can't happen. Are we voting?
Yeah, it's still on for discussion, any more discussion? Have one, Councilman Hillis, any more discussion? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Motion approved. I think I've been around to each district, asked everything. I just like to say, I just have one thing I like to say. I'm looking at our next council meeting to go ahead to bring before you all our 1 cent sale tax. Either we going to move forward with it or not. So it will be on our, come up for, I'm asking for it to be on the agenda for a vote. I also, at the last meeting, stated about, the opportunity to, also would like to discuss the fee. I don't know if everyone had enough time to actually look over the fees, to have any, to bring that part up to a vote. I would like to, on our fees as well. So we still have almost 2 weeks to, everybody to look over that. And if you have any discussion, let's get together and have a discussion. If we have to call meeting to among ourselves to discuss this situation, so everybody may not be on board, and some may, but I'm just saying at least if anybody that's unsure, hey, just if you want to, let's just have a discussion about it. But it will be on the agenda for a vote on our next council.
Excuse me, what other thing are you talking about increasing?
I know one thing I want to increase is our cemetery fee. I don't know what anybody else fees that need to be brought up, but I know I'm definitely want to change our cemetery fee.
Wouldn't it be a good idea to have a work session on this?
I was gonna say, can we do it, before then, we need to get together as far as that, all this is
We
concerned.
need to, we really need to think about this well.
Yeah, that's what I said, it's something we got 2 weeks to, we need to get together, let's do that. But my thing on the fee part is definitely cemetery. Now, the rest of them, you know, I know we still have an issue with our water, and right now, I'm getting bombarded with that. From telling people to file a claim, but clothes messed up to everything else, so, you know, I don't know if that's something we may want to talk about right now, but I know our cemetery definitely need to be looked into, especially on the feed, you know, with the feed bar. So, you know, like I said, between then and 2 weeks from now, let's get together and let's have a little workshop.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, I stated a long time ago, even doing our town here meeting, and even before that, let's sit down and talk about it if that's need to be, and I'm still saying the same thing. Yeah. Go ahead. You have something?
Okay, Mayor, I'm sorry. We need to finish up our, one of our budget, department heads, and we would like to shoot for Thursday at 10 a.m. And, you know, I don't know, as far as the, you know, meeting that we're discussing now also, I mean, you know, I'm on board for whatever we come up with as far as date-wise. We all know it's not gonna be 10 to 15 minutes.
No.
Some of us have to work.
We all have to work.
Early night till
That's lunch.
Well,
not for me.
I'm choosing my lunch hour.
Okay. Go ahead.
Could we have a work session a week from tonight?
Sure. I know most everybody here like to do it in the morning time, so
Well, that's fine.
at least give me a time to get my, you know, to rearrange my schedule so I can be here. Especially during the morning time. Evening time is no problem. When it's morning time, I have to make some arrangement to get here if I can. I know Thursday would be bad for me because I have a doctor appointment this Thursday for the budget meeting, so. If it's in the morning time, just let me know so I can make some arrangements so we can be here and sit down and discuss. And that's all I have. So this time, we asked our clerk for audit our account, please.
Claims in amount of $349,094.26.
I make a motion to pay our bills.
This time has been properly motioned and second that we, come from our city clerk, to pay our account in the amount of $349,094.26. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same. Motion approved. Pay our bill. Resolution, orders, and other business. Ordinance 465, first reading, 2022 severe weather preparedness tax holiday, February 25th through the 27th, 2022. Clerk, thanks.
Yes, Mayor, this is just the annual sales tax holiday for exempt items, severe weather preparedness. In your council materials, you'll have a list of all the items that are covered. You've already given the date for it. This is the first reading for it. If you wanted to approve it tonight, it would take unanimous consent, suspend the rules for immediate consideration. If not, we'll hold it over to the next council meeting. It doesn't have to be turned into the Department of Revenue until January 25th, so it's not necessarily a rush.
I move that we suspend the rules and vote on it tonight.
That a motion?
It's a motion.
Okay, it's been properly motioned and second that we suspend the rule in reference to ordinance 465, first reading, 2022, severe weather preparedness tax holiday, February 25th through the 27th, 2022. Any discussion? If not, we ask the clerk for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Mangrum?
Yes.
Councilmember Hunter?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams? And Mayor Vine.
Yes.
Yes, I make a motion we adopt ordinance number 465, the 2022 severe weather preparedness tax holiday.
Second.
It's been properly motioned and second that we adopt the ordinance. Is that also a roll call vote? Or we, okay. This time we ask our clerk for the roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Mangrum?
Yes.
Councilmember Hunter?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams? Mayor Vine.
Yes. Okay, convey cemetery deeds, number 1613, 1617, 1618, 1619, 1620, 1621, 1622. Convey replacement cemetery deed, number 1623. Convey cemetery deed, number 1624.
I make a motion that we convey cemetery deeds all the way down from 1613 to 1624, with the exception of the replacement cemetery deeds included as well, and the convey cemetery deed 1624 included in that.
I'll second that.
It's been properly motioned and second that we conveyed the deeds and also conveyed the replacement cemetery deed and conveyed the cemetery deed as well. Any discussion? If not, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Motion approved. At this time, executive session to discuss real property.
Actually, should be negotiation.
Negotiators, okay, just
Concern.
negotiation.
Second.
Been properly motion and second that we go into executive session to discuss negotiation. Of real property. This time we ask our clerk for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Mangrum?
Yes.
Councilmember Hunter?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis? Councilmember Williams? Mayor Vine.
Yes.